there. This is Beth Hovis, and welcome to the Beth Hovis Education Podcast. And, I love how some things just kind of line up together. I have just changed the name of my um, YouTube channel podcast from Sweet Urban Living because I owned an herb shop and I was very much into herbs and teaching on herbs, but I changed it because now I'm more education, teaching iridology, teaching business owners, especially holistic wellness practitioners, how to get going in business. And I have with me as a guest today someone who is very invested into education and research and science. Welcome, Marianne. I am so glad to have you with me today.
Hi, Beth. Thank you for hosting me. That's so kind of you.
It is so cool to have you here today. So let me just share a little bit. Like I said, Marianne, you are a very smart cookie. You you held a master's degree in healthcare literacy, and you have spent more than 2 decades helping doctors and scientists translate complex medical topics into a language that everyday people can understand. And as an everyday people, I thank you for that. So, when members or family, so when you say members, what do you mean by members? Members or family?
Family members. Yeah, when family members got ill, that just didn't work so much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you help them trace their issues, their
Mhm,
challenges,
mhm.
and back to the roots that Western medicine was not really helping resolve.
Right. They were
Right.
not helping
Okay.
resolve that at all.
All
Yeah.
right. All right, we're going to get into that. So let me share a little
Okay.
bit more. So Marianne started exploring the world of natural health when she was not getting the answers she needed from
Right.
traditional Western medicine. A chance encounter with DesBio led her to work as a writer explaining homeopathy and holistic
Mhm,
therapies in simple, practical terms. Um, an experience that sparked a deep passion for natural medicine. She went on
mhm,
to graduate from Trinity College of Natural Health as a board certified naturopathic doctor and
mhm,
later became DesBio's director of meeting and education, traveling nationwide with their acclaimed symposium series.
mhm.
When family needs required her to stay closer to home, Mary Ann served as director of patient and practitioner education at a clinic specializing in ME and CFS. You're going to have to explain. It's
Okay.
like, I may know what that is, but I'll let you explain it. And
All
you
right.
eventually opened your own practice focusing on these conditions. Today,
Mhm.
she's back with DesBio as an educator, mentoring practitioners, and sharing her love for effective, compassionate natural care. So,
Yes.
and you live in the Salt Lake City area.
I
And
do. Mhm.
oh, wow. Is
Yeah.
it beautiful there? I have not been there.
Oh, Beth, you need to come out. It's really beautiful here. We have some amazing mountains. It's
Yeah,
very pretty here.
I
Very
have
pretty here.
I have been into Utah. I think I was it or was no, I went to Arizona to see the Grand
Mm,
Canyon.
hmm hmm
So I have not been to Utah. That is on my bucket list of things
Yes,
to
the
do.
red rocks here are pretty amazing. So, yeah.
Ah, yes. It is beautiful country.
Yes, it
Beautiful.
really
So
is.
I'm going to make my way out there. But today I do
Okay.
want to ask you about your journey because it sounds like, when you say I helped my family members, is
Mhm.
there a story behind that that kind of
Yeah.
transitioned you? Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, well, here in Utah, healthcare is actually really a big business here. We have the University of Utah, which is a major research institution. We have the Huntsman Cancer Institute. We have Primary Children's Medical Center. So it's kind of a center for everyone around the Intermountain West if they're ill to come. We have a VA here for veterans. So people from Idaho, Wyoming, Nevada, if Montana, if they have a healthcare crisis, they come to Utah. So my to Salt Lake City, my background really was in science and medicine. So I did a lot of research things, particularly with maybe doctors and scientists who didn't speak English as a first language. They needed some
Oh.
help with their writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you mentioned, I got my master's degree in healthcare literacy. And what that means is you go to the doctor and you hear what they say, but you don't understand anything they say. They're using too big of words. So I've worked for some of the major healthcare institutions in the area, helping them write patient education materials. And I loved that, and I really enjoyed it. But my own health got a little iffy where I could tell something was really wrong with my gallbladder.
Mm.
So I went to the regular doctor and he said, yeah, your gallbladder's really sludgy, but it's not really bad yet. So why don't you just take this pain medication and we'll wait for it to get worse. And then we can
Oh,
take care of it, right? And I said,
yeah.
this doesn't even make any sense. I don't even understand what you're talking about here. And of course, you can't take pain medication and work all day, or at least I couldn't.
Yeah.
So I started investigating, and of course, being scientifically minded, I started looking at studies, right? What
Hmm.
helps your gallbladder? And one that I read was so fascinating. It was done in China, where they were doing an ultrasound of someone's gallbladder while they did acupuncture on the person to see what was happening,
Ooh.
actually see what was happening with the gallbladder. And it started to contract, and work. So I looked around in my area and found an acupuncturist who could help me, do that. And literally the first time I went there and, laid on the table and she did the needles and then you rest for, a little while the needles are going, I could hear and feel my gallbladder start to work. And I was like, this is so much better
Whoa.
than what they told me, which was just wait for it to get worse, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay,
That's
wait a
what
minute.
I'm
Now,
looking
you
for.
said you could hear
I
your
could. I
gallbladder.
could hear it.
Oh, okay.
It was really amazing. And so for a few days after that, I didn't feel well. My gallbladder was really, getting rid of some stuff. And I thought,
Yeah.
this is amazing. So I need to look into this. It's not something I'd ever looked into before, was natural medicine.
Yeah.
And then just, while I was kind of investigating things and looking around, randomly, I ran into someone who we started talking about what do you do? What do you do? And he said, I work at this company that does homeopathics. And I was like, homeopathics? I don't know anything about that. So tell me more. And he was like, oh, blah, 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 homeopathics. What do you do? And I said, I'm a science writer. And he said, oh my gosh, we are looking for a science writer. We're looking for someone to work, a few hours a week writing fact sheets about homeopathics. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. I get to look up homeopathics and research
That
them,
was
write about
not
them.
random. That was a divine appointment.
Exactly, exactly. If you believe in random, then it was random. But I didn't. I believe I was led there because the things
Wow.
I learned there, I was so able to so much better help my family. About this time, my parents started getting ill.
Oh,
Actually, I worked with the DesBio and we traveled a lot, and we did this symposium series that people really enjoyed, and I loved that. But as my parents' health both started to fail, I was like,
mhm.
I can't do this anymore. But I
Yeah.
had learned a bunch of things, with homeopathics. My parents were very open to that, using things to help their brain, to help their, physically, help their emotions as they, neared the end of their lives. It was really helpful, those
Good.
kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I'd gotten so interested in it while I worked at DesBio that I ended up going to Trinity School of Natural Health. And that's where I, learned about Bach flowers and, so many other modalities to really help them with their emotions and the things that were happening to them where their brains were not
Yeah.
working as well as they could. So I stopped working at DesBio and got a job here in Salt Lake City that was closer to home where I didn't have to travel. And that ended up being as the director of education at a place called the Bateman Horn Center here in Salt Lake City. The only people they see are people who've been diagnosed with chronic fatigue.
Hmm.
So that's now called myalgic encephalomyelitis. So, the MECFS is probably the easier one to
That's
call.
right. I think most people still hear the chronic fatigue
Chronic
more
fatigue.
than
Hmm.
the ME.
Yeah.
Um, but that is something that's so often now. I'm
Hmm.
seeing more and more people with chronic fatigue. And tell me again, what does the ME stand for?
Myalgic encephalomyelitis, which means pain, right?
Yeah.
It's not just fatigue, it's pain,
Yeah.
and in the brain, right? Things going on,
Right.
inflammation in the brain. And I
Right.
think I think people have wanted to be called something different because chronic fatigue just sounds like you're tired. I'm
Yeah.
just tired all the time, right? And there's so much more to it than that.
Right.
So I think that's kind of, they're trying to change the perception of, what that is. So that's been really interesting to see. But there, I got to do education for practitioners because it's not something that people know a lot about, and do
Mm-hmm.
patient education. And the more I got into that, the more I was like, wow, I know so many things, herbs, Bach flowers, homeopathics that would help these people.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not something you can do in a traditional, medical practice. Even though Dr. Bateman was very innovative and really, believed in a lot of different things like that, it was just not something you could bring into the practice. So
Right.
that's when I opened my own practice to try to help people there. And what I've really come to believe as time has gone on, that these are almost all chronic illnesses are some type of chronic unresolved infection. It's something that
Mm.
the body just has not been able to process the way it's supposed to. And I
Right.
think COVID, in one way, helped with that. People are now recognizing long COVID. It didn't just go away, it's still staying in the body and making things happen.
Mm.
And so now, if you say something like, I think you still have Epstein-Barr that's been reactivated or going on, I think people are a little more accepting of that idea that
Right.
viruses don't just go away.
No, they don't. And, I've had people ask, well, because you can, get rid of a bacteria, but you
Mm-hmm.
can't get
Hmm.
rid of a virus. The virus stays and may go dormant, or it may not even be dormant. It may just be presenting with milder symptoms that we brush off, and we just go, "Oh, well, that's just." It's kind of like what you said. It's not really fatigue.
Right,
You
right.
know, you are fatigued, but there may
Mhm.
be other things going on
So
with
many
it.
other things going on. Yeah, so many things going on underneath that your body's, it's always trying to get better. It's always trying to do whatever it needs to do to function. And
Yes.
sometimes that's subsuming the symptoms to the point where you can function. And then one thing will happen. Maybe you get really stressed, your life
Hmm.
gets crazy. You get another virus, for example, COVID, and everything flares back up again. The body's like, I
Hmm.
just can't handle this anymore.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
that's one of the things that I would tell sometimes my clients would ask about, why is this flaring back up? And that's one of those things where I'm like, the body is always trying to do the best
Mhm.
thing it can do to keep you alive in the moment. It's
Mhm.
always doing the best right thing
Totally
to
agree.
keep you alive, to
Hmm.
preserve you, to and so sometimes, we know that the body will do, it'll pull minerals from the bones, it'll dampen the symptoms of something, it'll cause different reactions in different people, that we're going, it's we don't see the connection
Hmm.
a lot of times, but the
Hmm.
connection is there. And
Definitely
so,
still there. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So after, yeah, how long were you in your practice at home? How long
My
did you?
practice is still going.
Oh,
I
good.
still see people. I've kind of cut back a little bit, and I'm mostly just seeing people either who've come to me through the clinic that have chronic fatigue, or
Hmm.
family and friends who believe in what I do. There are many who don't, but
Yeah.
that's always something we always all have to deal with.
Yes.
But so I've kind of minimized that a little bit. I started that in 2017, so it's
Hmm.
still going.
When
Mhm.
did you graduate from Trinity?
In 2017.
Okay. Yeah.
I had done school back when I was young. I didn't get my master's degree until I was in my 30s or 40s, and then I just got so fascinated that I graduated from. Finally went to Trinity. It took me forever, but yeah, while you're
That's
working,
okay. I kind
yeah.
of did the same thing where it took me, I did other things first, and then I
Mhm.
got into the
Mhm.
natural health field and started getting all those
Wow,
designations that go
now
with
I need to
that.
know all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like fascinating. So I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
and I'm always looking at going, what else can I take?
Mhm. What
What
else
other
can I
class can I
do?
take?
Yeah, what
Um,
else can I do?
okay, so you still have your practice, but it's
Mhm.
more, but you're still with DesBio. Now, when you went to work for DesBio as a writer, and then you came home because of
Mhm.
family,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
your
and then
practice.
as I got practicing and everything, DesBio said, hey, my parents both passed. And so I was able to work a little bit more. My heart goes out to anyone who's taking care of parents because it's practically a full-time job.
It is.
It's difficult, and I was just doing so much of that I didn't have a lot of time. But after they passed away, and DesBio said, "Hey, we could really use some help," and so I came back there, and now what I'm doing is pretty much just as an educator. I'm not really traveling anymore, but practitioners, we set up Zoom calls, and they ask me questions about DesBio products or about anything. We talk about all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
On our Zoom calls just to be a resource for the practitioners if they have any
Mm-hmm.
questions. Mhm.
And I love that because, and that's one of the things that kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing now is because what I realized is I came through natural health by first working in an herb shop. So I got on
Mm,
the job training
yes.
in an herb shop, and I learned by doing. I learned by okay, watching other people who had
Mhm.
clients and learning how to make recommendations and a lot of research. And
Mm,
then, got the alphabet soup behind my name eventually. But
mhm,
I realized a lot of the people who go through and become wellness practitioners, naturopathic, um, traditional naturopathic doctors, health coaches, things like that, a lot of times they need that ongoing support once they graduate
mhm,
and get into practice. And that's why my heart began like these, we need more afterwards on what do I recommend, how do I put
mhm.
this together, how do I triangulate that.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're helping people with now.
Right. I think DesBio does a pretty good job of that.
Yeah.
It's desbio.com. They have a whole webinar archive where you
Hmm.
can go in and search any kind of condition that you're working with or people that you've got going on. For example, right now mold is so big. They've got
Oh
a
yeah.
whole section of webinars on mold. And I think they do a really good job of that. We have open office hours every Wednesday. A practitioner just hosts open office hours where any practitioner can come, ask any question they want, and do a lot of things like that. They do they're free online symposiums where you just log in and hear people talk about different topics. I know when I became a practitioner, I thought very foolishly that I would find the one thing, I'd find the one protocol that would work for everyone. Gosh, that did not happen at all. And the minute I thought I found something new that would work for lots of people, the very next person that came in, it did not work for at all.
Yeah.
So I think practitioners do need that ongoing support where they're like, I've got this person that I'm trying to help, but I need some more ideas. And getting those ideas from experienced practitioners are great.
Yeah.
And lots of people, like maybe they know a lot about herbs, but they
Right.
don't know a lot about homeopathics or Bach flowers or, some of the other modalities that they
Hmm.
can use to help.
And on that topic, on that point, I don't use just one thing. I started with
Mhm.
herbs.
Mhm.
It, I started with my third pregnancy. The midwife that I had was also a crunchy mama type.
Okay.
And she was like, you need to be drinking echinacea tea and red raspberry
Mhm.
tea. And the echinacea was for at the end of pregnancy to
Mhm.
prevent any infection,
Sure.
and the red raspberry was for the health of the pregnancy, the baby, my hormones, and all that stuff. And it's also good for digestion and
Mhm.
everything, lots of stuff. But that's where I started. And then I had a friend who our husbands worked together, and as we got to, it was kind of like, oh, well, his wife is into herbs and all that natural
Mhm.
stuff
Mhm.
too. So we met, and she introduced me to aromatherapy, essential oils.
Right. Mhm.
And this was years ago, before, I mean, they were here in the United States, but it
Oh,
hadn't become this
like
big
the big
thing.
thing here now. Yeah.
And then it was 2 years later with my son, and I'm going, he's only two. and he's not ready for herbs yet. What am I
Mm,
supposed to do? And that's when I got introduced to homeopathy.
homeopathy.
And you know what I'm now he's in his 30s,
Mm-hmm.
and I still use it's what do I need in the moment?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it a child? Is it a grown up? Do they need a tea? Do they need a full? Would a
Mm-hmm.
homeopathic blend help with this? I mean, that's one of those things. There really is a lot when you say one protocol.
Yeah.
There is so much.
Not gonna.
Everybody's different.
I love that. And that's what I love about what I'm doing now. I feel like when I was in the allopathic world, there was one, thing with, as an example with my gallbladder. There's a protocol that you follow, and until you reach this point, there's nothing we can do for you. And I'm like, well, there's all kinds of stuff that could happen. And I love homeopathics for the people I would say that I see, I would say are fragile. They have huge viral loads. They've taken a million medications. They don't feel good.
Mm-mm.
And they're not draining properly, all those things. But I love, and sometimes herbals are too hard on them.
Hmm.
But that's what I love about homeopathics for fragile people, children, the elderly, anyone who seems extra sensitive. I
Exactly.
always start out with homeopathics for
Hmm.
them. See where we go from there.
Right. I
Hmm.
agree. And that's something that I love about is when you're talking about do homeopathic remedies work? Well, you use them on a child,
Hmm.
they don't understand what a double blind study
Right?
is.
They
You know,
don't.
or an animal, they're not looking at it going, did you check this out and make sure that this actually works? And I
Hmm.
have found homeopathic remedies to be so very effective, not just for my children, but for me too.
For me too. Hmm.
And a lot of times I will use them together with herbals
Hmm.
and
I think you get a really
supplements.
big boost with that, using a homeopathic with an herbal or a supplement. I think that just feeds off each other and
Right,
gets a great thing.
right.
You have a friend whose husband was very, very against homeopathics, did not believe in them at all.
No.
And they had a dog who was getting elderly and was having some rough times. And I gave her a DesBio product called Dynamic Brain, which I used with my own parents, which is for, when you're fading and you're not doing so well. And her dog would just go stand and like not know what to do next or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
she secretly started giving the dog in the water bowl some of this Dynamic Brain homeopathic. And a few, maybe not even a week later, her husband said, "Do you think the dog is getting better?" And she said, "No, I do. And I think it's getting better because I have been giving it this homeopathic." And he thought for a minute and he said, "Okay, well, keep doing it. Keep doing it. It's a
Good.
good thing.
Wow.
It's working for the dog."
It does
As
work.
you said, dogs don't know about a placebo effect. So, yeah.
No, they don't. They don't. And it's really interesting because I had, like with flower remedies
Hmm. Hmm.
and homeopathic remedies, because
Hmm.
they do. Now, homeopathics you can get in some brands, you get them in little pellets, okay?
Hmm.
So, but many times they come in liquid. And
Hmm.
for children, liquid is very easy.
That's easy.
And so my grandchildren and somebody else I was talking to the other day, and because it's not, I'm trying to remember, but she was like, all I have to do is pick up that bottle and start bringing it to my child's mouth, and he calms down immediately
Yeah.
because they're associating with
Mhm.
that bottle makes me feel better
Makes me feel better.
even before it gets into him. I'm like, and it's so funny. Now I do have one grandchild who absolutely refuse. He's like, no, 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 no. So
No.
I'll sometimes just take it and drop it, and rub it on his neck, and
Hmm.
then let it, kind of let him calm down, and then I'll put it in his mouth with
Mm.
his mama's permission. I don't do anything behind my
No.
children's back
No.
or anything like that. But it is one of those interesting how it works on the surface, it works
Hmm. Hmm.
internally, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Okay, so
love that too, to be like, if you have something that's hurting, you rub the arnica gel on it and use the arnica.
yes.
I've also, especially with babies, rubbed it in their belly button
Oh, that's a good
to
place. Yeah.
to help them,
Yeah.
absorb.
He pulls in like this particular grandson. So
Yay!
that's why I'm like, let me get that right there at the neck,
Hmm.
and that works.
I haven't tried that. I'll have to try that one.
But yeah, the belly button is very good. I also love the feet.
Yeah, on the
I
bottom
love
too.
the feet for
Hmm.
kids. That's one of those things where I'm like, let's wrap, let's wrap a towel with, put it like a decoction. If that's not the right word. Um,
Oh.
but I'll put my tea in let it just sit there and just
Hmm.
then put a towel and wrap their feet in it, and that really does help. So
Hmm.
okay, so we've got lots of different ways of helping
Hmm.
our
Yeah, we
family
do.
members, and I love what you said about homeopathic being so good. But DesBio it's not just homeopathic.
That's true. That's true. They
Yeah.
have some other products that are really great. I really like their liposomal version,
Hmm.
the different like magnesium, vitamin C,
Hmm.
quercetin, resveratrol, curcumin. They have the liposomal delivery, and what I like about that is, it's encapsulated in a liposome, which means that when you take it, it bypasses your stomach acid. It's able to go through that inside the liposome and get into your intestines where it can be absorbed better. So
Hmm.
that's a really nice delivery. They do have some herbals and some herbal tinctures, not just, the capsules. There's
Hmm.
some tinctures there that like cat's claw or teasel if you're working with people who, are having a chronic infection. Those kinds of things can be really helpful.
Hmm.
So yeah, they do have other things. I do think they're best known for their homeopathics.
Hmm.
And partly because they're made the traditional way. They're made with the substance that's been diluted, hand succussed, so they are not imprinted at all. There's no
Yes.
imprinting going on. So you can take them through airport security, for example, and but it's not going to fade. That it's going to stay there. It's going to be there for that. And
That's really interesting. I'm gonna pause right there because
okay.
that's one. A lot of times I have practitioners and or clients ask me, "Well, can I take this product
Hmm.
through airport security?" And a
Hmm.
lot of times the answer is no. And I've wondered why because I've taken my products through
Hmm.
and had no problem with them on the other end so I'm going, why are they telling now? I just learned something
Oh,
new,
good.
that
Okay.
it's because of the imprinting,
Yeah.
which
If
is
you're
not bad.
No, it's not bad to imprint, but if you
No.
want it to last and you want to take it somewhere,
Hmm.
having the actual substance in the homeopathic, tincture, the bottle, makes a difference if you're trying to take it somewhere or do something like that with it. If you're imprinting and you're taking it home and you're using it quickly, that's all great. But the imprinting is going to be affected by, I don't know, your phone,
Other.
the other things, radiation, and going through the airport security can really affect the frequency of that.
Hmm.
But where
Hmm.
you got it, the actual substance in there, the hand succussion, all of that, that's gonna withstand that kind of thing.
Gotcha. That's
Hmm.
really good to know. So if you're a practitioner, especially listening to this, that is a good reason to not forego using imprinting if you use it in your practice, but to understand it really is sometimes having the substance is not just for going through airport security or other
Hmm.
kinds of security, but
Hmm.
sometimes the body responds better to this actual substance.
Right.
Now, when you say, hand succussed, so homeopathic remedies are dynamized and potentized,
Hmm.
and that's what you're talking about. And so the substance is like, quote unquote, from what I understand about homeopathic remedies, no longer there in the it can cause harm. It can't cause
Hmm.
harm if
No,
it's done correctly.
that's
But
true.
it's still it is used, and so instead of just a frequency, that's what imprinting uses. Instead
Hmm.
of the frequency of that product, you're actually getting the actual substance of, and it does make a difference.
It
Have you
makes a
noticed that?
difference. So chemically, like, if you had someone analyze a bottle of homeopathics,
Hmm.
a chemist would say there is nothing in there because what they're
Correct.
looking for is what's called the Avogadro number, which is where you can't detect the substance in there anymore.
Hmm.
But in my opinion, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. I mean,
Yeah.
how does your phone work, right? You can't see the wires from your phone. I mean, you don't see that happening, but it still works. It's all still there.
Hmm.
So, And so I don't, I think we're kind of silly when we say, well, if I didn't see it or if I can't find it in there, it's not there anymore. The
Yeah.
energy of that
Yes.
substance is still in
It's
there.
still there.
So, yeah, and I just feel like you're using it in micro doses.
Right.
That's getting, in my opinion, that's where it gets into your cells and really works. And nanomedicine is becoming a thing now, right? I mean, even when you hear people getting treated for cancer, they're like, we've got these little nanoparticles of medicine that, are so tiny that you can't really see them, but they go in and do what they're supposed to do. And I'm like, that's exactly
That's
what I've been talking about
that's what we've been doing for
for
how many years?
years
Hundreds
and
of
years, and now
years.
you're finally figuring it out. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I should say too that I believe in both. I think there are times when you need allopathic medicine.
Absolutely.
I don't believe it should always be your first choice. I have a brother-in-law who, he doesn't believe in any kind of natural anything, and he went to the doctor because he has diabetes, and he's on maybe 5 or 6 different
Hmm.
medications to control his blood glucose levels.
Yeah.
And one day he came to me and said, I don't know, all these medicines aren't working. Maybe I should try some diet and exercise. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe you should have tried that first, you
Right.
know. But so I do believe often first we should go to herbals, homeopathics, diet, nutrition, whatever. But I
Hmm.
do think sometimes if you break your leg, you need to go have
Please.
your leg fixed. If you need
Hmm.
your appendix out, you need that. Then you
Hmm.
clean up after,
Hmm.
right? If you have to take antibiotics, then you figure out how to clean up your digestive system after you've had
Absolutely.
to do that. Not my first choice, but I think sometimes it happens. Do what you got to do.
Well, and that's one of the things where I think, the like you said, I don't want to do away with medical. That's not
No,
what we're
no, that's
saying.
what I'm doing.
We need it. I've needed it. My husband's needed it. My children
Yeah.
have needed it. So we're not doing away with it. But it is interesting how, even now with what's going on in the United States of changing the food pyramid, of
Hmm.
looking at what we're eating and how we're eating and how we're training. Because that's one of the things we're talking about, the medical profession becoming trained in health and nutrition of food, of why, because that's a lot of, when you say someone has blood sugar issues, a
Hmm.
diagnosis of diabetes, we're looking at it going, okay, what's causing that?
Exactly.
And yes, it usually is diet and exercise, lack of
Hmm.
movement, not enough water in, too many other things. And so we're going, let's get to the root of this.
And root
And
it. And it's people aren't trained that way. They're like, let me put a band-aid on that symptom, and I don't believe in that. I believe you really need to dig deep and find out what exactly is happening.
yes, that is so good. So as an educator now,
Hmm.
because you're still an educator. I
Hmm.
think it's always an educator. Once an educator, always
I, I actually
that's it.
still teach. I teach writing at the university here at the medical school.
Oh, do you?
So I
Yeah,
do. I teach a class
fascinating.
called Writing for the Sciences, and you better believe when we look at research and papers, they are looking at papers about how berberine can help control your blood glucose levels and how, there are a lot of papers coming out right now about homeopathy from India that's being
Oh,
very well studied there. It's not studied here in the US because
no.
there's no financial incentive for it. You
Yeah.
can't make any money from studying homeopathics because you can't patent them or,
Right.
charge lots of money for them. But India right now is probably the one of the biggest users of homeopathy. They have lots of studies coming out about it. And in my class, that's what
I
you
love
read.
that. I love that.
I
That's
had a
that's
student, we read an article about oregano oil being antibacterial, and he
yeah.
said that cannot be true. And I was like, you're in a lab, you're a scientist. Go prove to me that it's not true. So for his project, they have to do a project and write it up. He did oregano oil. He had, all the little bacteria plates, of
Petri dishes and yeah,
everything that he
okay.
grew. He put oregano oil in them, and by golly, it worked.
Huh.
And he was like, "Oh my gosh, oregano oil does work as an antibiotic." So, my idea is you infiltrate and educate, and then
I love
make you
it.
think differently.
And that's the thing is it's an invitation. That's what I want to do is I want
Mhm.
it to be when I share and I teach, and it
Mhm.
sounds like you do the same thing. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, let's open up an invitation to explore and
Uh-huh.
go, is this true or is it
It's
not? It's
not.
like we're not
Mhm.
trying to say do away with something that's needed. We're just trying to say, hey, is there a possibility that for thousands of years we have
Yes.
used herbs and they really do work,
Why
you
would we
know?
throw that all away? I don't understand.
No.
I don't want to throw either one of them away. We're always progressing and making new things. Great. Let's incorporate them into all this
Absolutely,
stuff. Because I
absolutely.
love Chinese medicine too. And, people have done these things for 5,000 years. I don't think we still know how acupuncture works, but
No, not really, I don't
not,
think.
not really. But we still don't know how birth works, right? How does the soul come into the
It's
body or at birth or before or wherever, or how does death work? We don't know all these things. Why do we think we
right.
know everything?
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, okay. So you're and not only do you teach at a local college,
Mhm.
yes, and you're still with DesBio,
Mhm.
and you're still now you're not writing scientific articles for
Not
them
so
anymore.
much.
Okay.
No, no, I don't do that so much anymore. But yeah, I do like to find little research things and studies and post them on the Facebook page or something because
Yeah.
it's always really
Yeah.
fun.
So let me ask if someone is going, hey, I'm a practitioner, or maybe they're not a practitioner.
Mhm.
Do they have to be a practitioner to listen to the DesBio
Mhm.
webinars?
I think it's kind of a layer of protection with the homeopathics where they only sell to practitioners. And so
Right.
to access all the education there, they ask you to send in some kind of certification. And that can be all kinds of things. It can be, maybe you're certified as a health coach, maybe you're certified as a sports nutritionist, or, any kind of certification that you have, you can send that in and you can get a DesBio account, which is free. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can access all of the education there is all
Mm-hmm.
just free.
Which
And
is a lot,
yeah,
and I've
there's a lot
accessed.
out there.
Yeah.
And I love that it's just free. There's no charge to access all the education about it.
Right. And that's the thing is you can learn about homeopathy. You can
Mhm,
learn about the some they have things on the herbs and the
mhm,
liposomals, and that's one of those things where when you mentioned it, I thought, oh, I wanted to ask a question or make draw out the point of
mhm,
and you did talk about how why do some glutathiones or
mhm,
magnesiums or B vitamin or whatever it might be, why do we even bother with having liposomal? Now you
mhm,
talked about it
mhm,
briefly, but I have found in my practice that many times it's the liposomal makes a difference. And the point that I was going to say is a lot of times people will say, well, that didn't work for me,
oh, mhm,
but not the liposomal. They're just, oh, I tried that, whatever it
mhm,
was.
mhm.
And so why is that such a huge, in your opinion, what do you see? Why is that such a huge thing, getting the right kind of product, not just the right
Yeah,
product, but
the right product, but the right kind, because I just think it's the bioavailability of it that you're not, people go down to Costco and buy a giant bottle of vitamin D, right? Okay, well, that's great, but is your body actually absorbing that? Or are you just, passing through your waste and you've just wasted your money on that thing? People will say that they're so much more expensive, but they actually get absorbed by your body. And
yeah,
that's why the liposomal delivery system is so, I'm not going to get into the entire chemistry, but it has to do
right,
with, how your body, the cells can pick up different things. And having a liposomal delivery system pass through the stomach acid, get into a place where it can be opened in a place where it's able to be distributed and that your body can actually use it is huge. The vitamin B, when people take it and they just, urinate it out and
yeah.
it doesn't
Oh,
work.
expensive urine. That's what I call it. It's expensive
Absolutely.
urine or expensive bowel movements.
Yep.
But, just a basic anatomy of the stomach digests,
Mhm.
the small intestine absorbs nutrients,
Mhm.
but if the product the supplement, the whatever is getting into the stomach and it's being destroyed by
Mhm.
those stomach acids before
Right.
it can even get to the small intestine. There's nothing there for it to absorb. Now that's very basic, I
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
that's a good way to think about it is, the digestive process is breaking things down so that the body can then extract the nutrients and then send them out to the rest of the body. The digestive system can yeah, pull them out and then
Hmm.
distribute them out to the rest of the body for utilization.
Right.
And if there's nothing there, if it's just going through,
Hmm.
there's nothing being extracted. That was the word I was looking for. Extract,
Yeah.
not distracted. Um, then there's nothing there for
Yeah.
the body to receive.
I had a family member who just was so concerned about his vitamin D levels.
Yeah.
My vitamin D levels are so low, I can't get them back up. I take vitamin D every day. I'm like, well, first of all, you're not taking it with K2, right?
Yep.
D3
Yep.
K2 combination, you've got to be doing
Yeah.
that. But secondly, you're just, it's just not getting absorbed into your body. Why don't you try, just give it a try. This liposomal, D3K2, give
Hmm.
it a try and see what happens with your levels. And that was the thing that helped his levels go up. All that vitamin D he was buying and consuming, like you said, expensive urine, expensive bowel movements.
Yeah.
But if you get something that actually your body can use, then that's the answer.
Right. So that's why it's important. I think that's one of those things because I've had the same situation where I've
Hmm.
had customers and clients because when I say customers, I'm thinking back to my herb shop and
Sure.
clients, the ones I do consultations. And I've done the same thing. I've looked at the price of products and gone, oh,
Hmm.
wow, that's
Wow.
really,
Hmm.
that's really expensive. I'll just buy the cheaper brand.
Hmm.
And I have turned around 2 or 3 months later going, I'm not feeling
Hmm.
with this what I was feeling and experiencing with this more expensive. And so it's not that we're sitting here going, okay, you need to pay more money. That's not what we're trying to say.
No,
But if you're
not
in
at all.
practice, you want your clients to get better. You want to have good quality products
Hmm.
behind you so that they're experiencing the difference. And I think DesBio does that really well,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
think so too. They do a good job of figuring out what is most bioavailable, what version, for example, of magnesium is going to be the most bioavailable for you
Hmm.
to be able to take and get that into your body where it can be used.
Hmm.
I think that's important. Mm.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you have and it's pretty much every Wednesday, correct? Your office
Just
hours. Tell
open
us
up.
more about that.
So open office hours are just, it's usually me and another practitioner, Melissa Olson, usually just switch off. Sometimes it's somebody else, but always an experienced practitioner. Every Wednesday at noon Mountain Time, you just log in and you are available. The practitioner just answers any questions that you have. It's open questions. Occasionally, I'll have a special guest. I think you were my special guest, Beth,
I
not too
was,
long ago.
I
That was
was.
really fun.
It was a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, and let the guests tell a little bit about their practice, the kind of people they see, and then help answer the questions. So sometimes you have two experienced practitioners online. Plus,
Yeah.
everybody who comes is generally, got
That's
some
right.
kind of experience, and so we all get to
Right.
just talk and answer questions. So I think that's really nice, especially if anyone who's new to homeopathy or a new practitioner, even just hearing the questions that other people ask and the
Hmm.
answers to those is really helpful.
Yeah. So I just, if you're listening and you're going, this sounds interesting to me, we
Mhm.
will have links to now to be able to sign up. You do have to do open office hours. That is, you are still got to be a desk bio person too, right?
I should also say if you're a student, you can get a
Okay.
student account. So if
Okay.
you are a practitioner or any kind of student, you just send in like here's my registration from last semester or whatever. You send that in, and then you can get a DesBio account and come listen.
Okay. So we'll have links to that and information on that in the show notes for anybody who's going, hey, this sounds interesting.
Hmm.
Because what I have found is, like I said, I had a little bit of I started out with, I had a solid foundation in herbs.
Hmm.
I had the experience of working in the herb shop and using them for my own family, but that didn't take away from the need for formal education and ongoing.
Hmm.
Even after I've had my designations for years now, it's like I
Right.
still am going. I need to stay up on the latest information, the newest products, um, the the different protocols that different people are using,
Hmm.
ideas of. Because here's the thing, and I've said this many times. So if anybody's listened to any of my podcasts before, I have
Hmm.
shared that in my experience, I'm dealing with clients who have more complex chronic health
Yeah.
issues than I ever did 20 years ago when I first started doing
Hmm.
consultations.
Yeah,
20
that's
years ago, it wasn't that people didn't have serious health needs. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's like now it's not just one thing. It seems to be so much more. And so when I say complex, it's like more than one issue,
true.
more than one root cause. You
Mm-hmm.
start trying something with someone, and this is why I love homeopathics because they are gentle.
Hmm. I love
They
that.
are gentle, and a lot of times herbals can be. Now, I will have a little caveat of if you're going to use herbals and they're in a weaker position, young, elderly, infirm, then the tea is the way to go with that.
Hmm.
A weak tea, you can still use herbals as a weak tea. But I love the idea of being able to sit and chat with others
Hmm.
and hear what's going on and go, oh, you know, because it is different from 20 years ago.
Oh, it's different. And no matter how long you've been in practice, you're going to have that person walk in to see you and you're like, I don't know what's going on with you. I am completely puzzled. We've tried this, we've tried that, all the things that I thought would work. And then somebody else can give you an idea where you're like, okay,
Yes,
now I
yes,
should give that a try.
yes. I have been both the person going, "Hey, have you tried this?" as well as the person going, oh, "Thank you for sharing
Right.
that. That makes so
Yeah.
much sense."
Yes, absolutely. I've done both those as well. We
It's
all
like,
have.
yeah. So this is to me, this is kind of like when this is what colleagues do.
Hmm.
Um, in the medical profession, this happens all the time. They
Hmm.
they continue go on with continuing education. They reach out to their colleagues and get more opinions on different things, and that's a beautiful thing for the natural wellness to do the same thing to support one another. Now, do y'all offer continuing education with
Yes.
these?
Yes,
Okay.
there is continuing education. If you watch any DesBio webinar or come to any event, you can get CEs from I say it wrong every time, American Association of Natural Wellness Practitioners.
Yay! I always get that wrong too.
Ooh, okay. And we're all certified with them. DesBio, all their events are certified through them, so you can
Yeah.
get your credits through that. And
Yeah.
then other than that, it kind of depends on what your certification body will accept. And
Yes.
I'm happy to work with anybody who needs, whatever kind of certificate you
Right.
need to do that. But I just love that DesBio gives that opportunity, a place where people can get together and talk to build that community of
Hmm.
practitioners who have ideas and I also love that it doesn't have to just be DesBio products. We talk about other things and all kinds of products or ideas that people have. It's not just you don't have to just talk about DesBio products.
Yeah.
That
That's good.
Yeah, I appreciate
That's
that.
really good. I do too. Because there are a lot of, there are a lot of other companies, that
Hmm.
I also use, and it
Hmm.
just depends on, and there are times when, now I do muscle response testing with my
Hmm.
clients, my
Hmm.
family, and there are times when it is a different brand. It's something
Hmm.
else. Test more for that person, and there may be a reason why the combination of herbs or the
Hmm.
whatever it is what seems to work better. So that's really great.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love that you can share those ideas too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, whatever's in it just isn't working for that person. And the different brand has slightly different, uh, I don't know what, like different kinds of agents that you have to use, different kind
Hmm.
of preservatives that you have to use, which I try to avoid, but sometimes you use those anyway and or just a tiny bit of a different amount of whatever it
Right.
is, and that will work better for someone.
Right. Yeah. So that's good to know, and it's not like, and that's one of the things is, and just so everybody does know, it's like the naturopathic community is very supportive. Sometimes it's just been finding a place to plug in.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's an invitation. If you're watching this, plug into my Facebook group, which is the Holistic
Absolutely.
Wellness Practitioners Coaching and Education. Plug into DesBio. Again, we're going to have those links in the comments so you can just click in. If you're going, hey, I need an excellent brand of products that,
Mm-hmm.
because DesBio does have homeopathy. They have kits. They have things like, oh, we didn't even talk about that, of like if you're going through something and you need to go through a detox
Mm-hmm.
protocol,
Mm-hmm.
different things, you can get the both the product and the education and support with
Mm-hmm.
the open office hours, and the webinars, and so there are so many resources out there for the natural wellness practitioner, and if you're needing support, this is a great place to get it. Is, make sure you're connecting.
Connect. And I have to tell you, Beth, that one of my very best connection opportunities was at one of your brilliant weekends
Oh,
away.
cool, really?
Amazing. I tell people all the time if they ask me about muscle testing, I'm like, that's where I really learned how to muscle test and how to trust myself in the
Mm-hmm.
muscle testing, which I think is a huge, huge piece of that. But
Yes.
that community coming together at your weekend away and helping each other and just the whole feeling of being part of that natural health community was life changing for me.
Well, I loved meeting you and having you there and getting to know you. That was awesome.
Hmm.
And that is what we want to do. So since
Hmm.
I had not even thought about mentioning that, but since
Yeah,
you
I think
did,
you've got one coming up, if I'm not
we
mistaken.
do. We've got one coming up May 1st through 3rd. It's going to be in J, Georgia, which I know, it's in the mountains, but it's a beautiful location
Hmm.
and plenty of room for people, for us to sit around and do the different things. We're going to do muscle response testing, emotional iridology. We're going to talk about
Perfect.
emotion code
Hmm.
and EFT, the tapping, emotional freedom technique. And a lot of times it is the confidence. That is the thing, is it's a confidence builder, plus, plus it's a community builder,
Hmm.
you
Definitely.
know. And so if you're interested in that, please, I'll have the link for that too. We'd love to have you. I'd love to have you come back, Marianne. That would be
I'm trying to figure it out.
um, and I'm like, and that's one of the things people ask me, like, one of the things people ask me is like, hey, have you thought about coming this way? And I'm like, I'm not opposed to going, out somewhere. One of the things that we do at the weekend away is we look for beautiful, relaxing locations.
Hmm.
One thing I don't do is have it in a hotel.
Oh, that was huge. It was huge to be in like a home environment type
Hmm.
thing. It was so much more relaxed, so much more welcoming. It was amazing.
Yes. We feed you.
Yes.
We have a
Really
relaxing
well.
location. We have a, this is what we're teaching. You can earn CEUs with that too, but this is what we're covering, and all of those things. But one of the beautiful things, I don't remember if we did it that weekend that we were there, but so many times we'll look out the window and go, "Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful outside.
Yes.
Let's go
Let's
outside."
go outside. Yes, absolutely.
And
Hey, I think this is where you need to come to Utah.
yeah,
Have a brilliant weekend away somewhere relaxing.
Utah version. Well, we need a location, and that's what I'm saying.
We should talk.
It's got to have a certain, I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
not about, hey, it's got to have a certain vibe, but it really does need to have a certain
Yes.
very welcoming
Welcoming
flow, and it
community
needs to be
feeling.
something where if you look out the window and go, it's a beautiful day, let's go outside. You
Hmm.
can do that too.
You can do
So, if
that.
anybody who's listening, yeah, hey, I got the perfect place. Let me know.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, that would be fantastic. So,
that would be. That was,
but
yeah.
J, Georgia in May is beautiful. It's where we've got a location that's a mountain cabin. I'm not sure that we're going to have the soaring mountain views, but we have like a stream on the property
Oh, that's so nice.
and nature paths and outdoor. And so it's like, I think that's going to be really good.
That's
So,
really good.
yeah, yeah, that would be fantastic. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you're so one of the things I'm just going to encourage you to do, whether you're going, I'm not a natural health practitioner, but I use this for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can still join. You can still learn. You can still be a part. You don't have to go into practice to learn these things and
Absolutely.
use. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
really a good point because helping your friends and your family is probably the most rewarding thing that you could do with what you know.
yeah. Yeah. So don't feel like you're listening to this and going, "Oh, I don't want to go into business." Well, you don't have to, but
True.
helping, and I think that's how we all got started
Mm-hmm.
in this is helping family.
Helping the family. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That, or, our own health or
For your
somebody
own
very
self.
close to
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah. All right, so Marianne, I do have a question for you as we're
Okay.
wrapping this up is if there is one thing that you would recommend, because we did talk about not every protocol works for everybody, but there are certain things that we can do that are, yeah, we can do one thing. What would that one thing be that you find
Um,
very helpful?
I would say to be in charge of your own health, to be in charge of
Mm.
yourself.
Yeah.
Don't go to somebody else and just believe what they're telling you. Um, you need to say, you need to investigate that. Why are you recommending this thing to me? Why are you asking me to do this? And then you need to buy in to what they're asking you to do.
Hmm.
I see too many people in the allopathic world, especially who, well, the doctor told me to do this, and so I'm taking this medication. I didn't even look up what it is. I don't even know what it does. I don't even know why they're asking me to take it. But I think you need to be the person who's taking charge of yourself and trusting yourself. If it doesn't sound right to you, then discuss it with whoever asked you to do it, and find a way that you can buy into because it's your health.
Hmm.
You're the one who is needs to incorporate these things, internalize them, and make them work for you.
That's really good. That is
Mhm.
really good.
Um,
That is okay. Now I do have a question because you are a researcher,
mhm,
and if I were just someone going to the doctor and they recommended a prescription, I know that I can go online, or
mhm,
they a certain protocol or this kind of treatment, whatever. I know I can go online now and just type in the search engine, and a lot of
mhm,
people use like AI.
mhm.
These days. Is there somewhere that you would say the best way to research this is to go? What do you do? I mean, give us just a little tip on that one.
Normally, if you go somewhere and the doctor has told you to do something, and you go somewhere like Medline or, Health Plus or something like that, those are pretty well researched, but they don't really look into the natural health world.
Okay.
So, but I do like people, if I'm recommending an herb to them or even a homeopathic, go look it up, see what it does. If you're looking at homeopathics, there are a lot of homeopathic schools out there, Irish
Hmm.
homeopathic school. Anything from India is going to be pretty well researched. Don't discount those websites. Look up what that website says about it.
Hmm.
Look up what the general website says about it, and see how you feel about it. I don't think you should ever just take someone else's recommendation and not look at it yourself.
Yeah.
You should know why you're taking something, what it's going to do for you, and
Hmm.
how you are going to expect it to work.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work that way, then that's a different conversation you need to have with
Right.
your practitioner. But yeah,
That's
we're
good.
all yeah. Muscle testing is great. Sometimes I think people might muscle test for something that's not going to work for them right at this moment.
Hmm.
It might be something, like where we say the Bach flowers. Sometimes you're not ready for that one yet. You need to take
Hmm.
something else first.
Hmm.
But I feel like a lot of times people have given away their health
Yeah.
care to somebody else, and you need to take it back.
Right. And
Mhm.
that is so true. Is if we educate ourselves in both allopathic and naturopathic modalities and remedies and things like that, we might decide, because when I went to the emergency room in
Mhm.
August of 2024 and they're like, yeah, this is your appendix, and
Mhm.
the option is appendectomy. And I'm sitting here, I'm so natural minded. I'm going, I don't know, let's see, what herbs can I take? And I was like, no, this is one of those situations where it doesn't
Yeah.
feel life or death in that moment, you
Mhm.
know. Uh, And I'm going, I could go home and I could probably do this. And I was like, no, I think
Mhm.
I need to go ahead and have the surgery on
Good for
this.
you, listening to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Choosing that and buying into it. And then you probably had to do a bunch of cleanup work
I
after.
did. I did. I did have to do a lot of that. But, it was one of those, I was so thankful that it was there for me when I needed
Absolutely.
it. And
Hmm.
then natural health, different remedies and herbs and things were there afterwards, and
Hmm.
all that. So, but that was one of those things where I just went, I understand, and every situation can be different. It could be one of those things where you're talking to someone who has just been diagnosed with diabetes, and it's, not long term. And so the effects on the body with someone who has had long term diabetes are going to be different from someone who's
Very
just been
different.
diagnosed. And so
Mhm.
we're telling you not one thing fits for all people. You've
Never.
got to decide where
Never.
you are and do the research and see what will help you. And, that's one of those things too that I think a lot of people, when they ask us, those who are in the
Mhm.
natural
Mhm.
health field, for recommendations and things like that, it's really hard to just give an off the cuff recommendation. So even asking
Absolutely.
you, like, what's the one thing? But yeah,
Mm.
one recommendation.
Yep.
You were going to say something to that. Go ahead.
No, no, just take charge of it. I really love that you know, thought about it. You didn't just say, "Oh, somebody told me I need to have my appendix." You were thinking about whether
Mm-hmm.
that was a good thing or not. And then you knew some of the things to help yourself, what I call clean up. And I think you should always listen to your practitioner. I don't think you should
Mm-hmm.
ever dismiss what they say to you. They're going to give you some good recommendations, but if you don't internalize it and believe in it and know that it's going to work for you, then you need to be thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, a lot of times our there's something inside of us that'll go, oh no, that's not, you
Yeah, I
know.
don't think that's for me.
And I
Hmm.
don't want to and I don't want to go against anyone who's going, oh
Hmm.
no, that's not for me.
Hmm.
But it is still good to educate yourself, because a lot of times I've been introduced to something that I've gone, oh no, that's not for me. But when I researched it, when I
Absolutely.
went into it, I was like, oh, what I thought about it before is
Hmm.
not really
It's
true.
not really
What
needed.
I know about it now, and kind of like
Mhm.
that oregano oil thing of, oh, look, here's the proof, right?
Yeah, look, I just proved myself wrong. Yeah,
The proof is in the petri dish,
that's right.
you know. Um, and so just that, taking that into our own hands, and
Mhm.
working with, I do recommend working with a natural health practitioner,
Absolutely.
especially if you're dealing with something chronic, complex, because
Hmm.
it is hard. Even if, there are times when, even when I'm going, I'm educated and what do I need to do, I'll still reach out to my colleagues and go,
Right.
I'm either
Sometimes
foggy brained right
we're too
now,
close to
or,
it. Sometimes you don't
and we're
see
too close.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's really good. Well, this has been really excellent, Marianne.
Well,
I
thank
really
you
appreciate you
for having me.
joining me today. I think we've covered a lot of great things.
We have.
Anything else you want to share before we?
Oh, I did get a code from DesBio. Is it all right if I share
Okay.
it here?
Yeah, go
Yes.
ahead.
Okay, so if you are a DesBio practitioner or you want to become one, it's free to sign up. If you want to order anything, you can use this code once, so use it wisely or use it on a big order or something.
Okay.
Gives you 20% off, and it's VIP, very important person,
Uh-huh.
M for Marianne, VIPM 20,
Okay.
and that will get you
Good.
20%
All
off
right.
your
So we will have that in the
Mhm.
show notes as well. It's a one
Great.
time, one
Mhm.
time use, so use it
Mhm.
wisely.
Use it wisely.
But that's
All right.
excellent. Well, again, thank you so much
Well,
for
thanks for
joining.
having
It's
me.
been such a pleasure
Always
to
a fun
have
to
you
talk
with
to you,
us.
Beth. And we do need to talk about you coming out to Utah.
I
So,
need to do that.
yeah.
Absolutely.